Well, it's the start of another month, the last month of 2025, so it's time to take a look at plants that are celebrating anniversaries this month. So join me with a tasty beverage of your choice close to hand while we take a look at 6-month and 1-year Hoya updates. And before we get this underway, I'd like to send out a special thanks to Laura and Jill's a plant lover who bought me coffees this past week, and to Beata Tofil 5925 who sent me a super thanks. Your support for my channel goes a long way in helping keep me and Hoyas, Dischidias, and their other relatives technology and infrastructure. So thank you all very much for your support. And the next special thanks goes out to all of you. I recently passed 4,000 subscribers, and that's all because of viewers like you who clicked on that subscribe button. It really helps my channel grow and encourages YouTube to recommend the channel to other people who might enjoy it. So thank you all for your support and for getting me this far. And in bloom this week, or close enough to being in bloom that I decided to show it, is my Pinguicula Montezuma. And you can see that little bud getting ready to open. I love a couple of these carnivorous plants. This is a Pinguicula. I also have a Drosera, but it's not in bloom yet, so they're going to wait their turn. When people ask me about pest problems or what I do about not flat mites, but what I do about fungus gnats, this is it. I don't know if you can see them on there, but there's a lot of little fungus gnats stuck to the leaves of this little puppy. And I'll put some close-ups of dead fungus gnats, yay, and the blossom. These are just really cool. The thing to keep in mind about these carnivorous plants is that they are bog plants. So while plants like Nepenthes live in the understory high up in the trees, these live in bogs where they get almost constant source of water and fairly bright light. These are growing under, well, this one lives over here on the shelf behind me back there. So they get a decent amount of light. I use a mix that's 60% pon and 40% cocoa peat. And that provides a certain amount of water retention and drainage. And I have it in a self-watering pot, and I try and keep the indicator topped off as much as I can because that seems to be what they appreciate. So if you're bothered by fungus gnats, and who isn't, this is a really happy solution in that you get your fungus gnats taken care of, you get a new plant, and it's just cool. I mean, that's a happy solution. Addressing your fungus gnats, feeding your plant, and a new plant. So that's very cool. This will probably be fully opening up in the next week or so I'll put some more pictures, but I love my little carnivorous plants. This one is Pinguicula Montezuma. And the first plant celebrating a 6-month anniversary here is my Hoya vanviengiensis. Now, vanviengiensis is native to southern Yunnan in China and to Laos, and it was first collected in 2010 in Vang Vieng, which is in Vientiane province in Laos. And it was first published in 2012 in Rebbia Raccolta di Scritti Botanici, or Webbia Collection of Botanical Writings, by Michaela Rhoda and Nathaniel Simonson. And this little puppy is almost entirely epiphytic in its natural habitat. These two got a little close to a grow light and got a little scorched, but the others are looking rather pretty. And I had seen this on several other channels and thought, that's kind of neat. I like the look of that. The top side of the leaves might be fuzzy, but you wouldn't notice it. But the undersides definitely are. See if I can do that. That's the underside, but I'll put some close-ups of the underside and the top as well. They have a slightly recessed cup shape on the older, I'm gonna have to find that now, on the older leaves. And this one has done very, very well. It originally had a longer section to it, but I snipped it off because I didn't think it was going to root terribly well and it was going to become a problem while it was rooting. So I put this one into my usual mix in a net pot, and it has rooted rather well. So it's time to join its big brother. But for 6 months, this is pretty much all new growth, this new vine. And that's okay. I think it's time to, yeah, definitely, trellis this up. I think that'll look very pretty. I think it'll do better. I might have to find a new home for it, but, we should all have those kind of problems. This is growing in my pond mix in the self-watering pot. There are some roots down there that have found the wick and are on their way to the reservoir, which happily had moisture in it. Yay! The cutting I rooted in a little yogurt cup and a net pot with my mix, and it did pretty well in there. So yeah, no difficulties. I think this is going to be a neat little plant to grow. It's done very, very well. It has been living on the grow shelf over here on the bottom. That grow setup has 2 shelves. This is on the shelf that's in the middle of the setup. So that means that the grow lights are approximately, so it's 30, 60 centimeters. Is that right? 60 centimeters? 2 feet? Yeah, about 2 feet. And I just let it run along the shelf for a while. But that's how it got, those 2 leaves got burned. It found the grow light, because the grow lights for the section beneath it are attached to the bottom of that shelf, and they found it. So there is new growth on the tip in there. So yeah, we're doing okay. It has not presented any problems. It has grown readily. This one had a little bit more vine on the end of it, but that died back. But it is putting out new growth on the end of that vine, so it seems happy enough to grow for me. Very, very cool. Yeah, no complaints. Happy with this one. It's done well. I think the leaves are cool, even though they're not splashy or anything else. I think they're neat. I like the look of them, and this one's working for me. This one came from Felsuma on Etsy, and this is Hoya versteegii. And the next one up, I'm really happy about. This is Dischidia GPS-88. Now, we don't know where this is really from, and we don't know much about its actual taxonomy. It was originally sold as Hoya GPS-88, but has recently been reclassified as a Dischidia. And I loved the leaves the first time I saw them. Let's see if I can. They're very pretty, and I will put some close-ups over here. This came as a nice little cutting. It settled in quite happily and has grown, that much in the last 6 months. I also got some cuttings from a different seller that were very, very slow to root. And I thought I was going to lose them, so I went and ordered this from one of my favorite shops. And it came and it did very, very well. So the other ones have rooted, and I think I was going to let them go separate ways, but I think I'm just going to plant them in here too and have a nice full setup of this. I should have pictures of what it looked like when it first arrived over here. And it's done pretty well. It has found the reservoir and the wick, and so it's just been plugging right along. It was, what is that? Who knows? When it was first settled in, I had it under, fairly close grow lights because it was a small plant. It has since decided to grow rather aggressively. So right now it lives over here under oh my, I have to do something about that. Some Wookiee has decided to take over another trellis, and I just noticed it. It lives over here underneath my Sansi grow lights, but off to the side of them, because the leaves are so dark, my approach tends to be the darker the leaf, the less light it really wants. So I've got this off to one side, like it's in the fallout, and it seems to be liking that. So it's going to stay there for a little bit. It's just grown a treat. It's in pond and self-watering. It gets a decent amount of light, but light's not focused on the plant. And it is done really well. I think it's really pretty. And I love Dischidia, so it's very cool. The leaves feel thick, and they have a raised central rib. See if I can negotiate this through the lights. They have a raised central rib and some raised side ribs. They are a dark green color with a dark purple margin. If I haven't done it already, I'll put some close-ups over on the side. And it's doing very well. I'm happy with that for 6 months. Yeah. Yeah, so if you're fond of Dischidia, or you like that look, or you just like small-leafed plants, these leaves are running about just about 1 3/4 inches, or about 4.5 centimeters. Yeah, that seems to be the size. So yeah, if you like some small-leafed Hoya relatives, or you're a fan of Dischidia like I am, hardly recommend it. If you get cuttings, mine took a little while to root, but if you get a rooted plant, once it got settled in, it took off, and it's been doing fine for me. This one came from, the original came from Gigi's greenhouse on Etsy, those cuttings, and they're doing well. This one came from my friends at North Austin Plant Company, and you can find them on Etsy. And this is Dischidia GPS-88. The next kit up is celebrating a 1-year anniversary, and that's my Hoya versteegii. Now, versteegii is native to New Guinea, the Papua province, and I have a note that says, Voor gelukshavel. I haven't been able to find that on the map yet, but it was first collected in 1913 by Gerard Versteegii, and not published until 2017 in Gardens Bulletin by Nathaniel Simonson and Michaela Rhoda. And I have a note from Doug Chamberlain's website, Vermont Hoyas, that says, Hoya versteegii was discovered around 1913 in Western New Guinea on a Dutch expedition by the ship's doctor, Gerard Versteegii. While the type specimen was collected long ago, the plant was not observed or collected again for over a century. Simonson and Rhoda described it in 2017 and named it after its original collector. And I had seen this on a couple channels, and it was the leaves, the ruffled edge, the undulate edge of the leaves that I thought was so cool. Very, very pretty. And I thought this would be really neat. So I ordered one. That is not this plant. That plant has gone to the great beyond. If I remember correctly, I ordered it, and it was from a different, not the same seller. So that came as a cutting, slightly rooted, and it just never took off. It hung out. It died a long, slow, painful death. I kept trying different locations, different water. It just was not happy. This one arrived a year ago this month as a rooted plant. It traveled in December, and since it was in an organic mix when it arrived, and it had a very, very fine root system, I just decided I'm going to leave well enough alone. So I potted it into an organic mix in a self-watering pot. It has found the reservoir, and pretty much all this is new stuff. The leaves are flexible and fuzzy. You may notice that there's some mess on this because it also lives underneath multiflora, and she's a messy girl. So I tried to clean it up for its show today, but I can still feel nectar on my fingers. Anyway, the leaves are very pretty. They are slightly pubescent on the top, very pubescent on the underside, and a little bit larger than I thought they were going to be. The largest of the new leaves from petiole to tip is measuring 6.5 or 16.5 centimeters. So yeah, this is going to be a big plant, I think. There is new growth on this vine, right in there. And there is new growth coming out over here as well, or maybe it's just a new leaf. Right now, the leaves are coming out singly, not in pairs. So I'm thinking that that's new vinage in there. What's going on? Yeah, I think that's a new vein or a new vine coming out. So yeah, this is very cool. I'll put some close-ups of the leaves so you can see the fuzziness. The underside reminds me of globulosa. I have two globulosas, so I'm kind of familiar with that plant. It's just very pretty. It's just green, but I'm fine with that. That's one of the things I love is just green. So yeah, I'm glad to see this one doing well. As I said, this one lives over here on underneath my multiflora. So it's about a foot, maybe, 30 centimeters from the southeast facing window. It doesn't get much sunlight through that window because there are other larger things growing over it, but there is a grow light on the shelves over here, and so this spills toward the fallout from that grow light. I think it might appreciate just a bit more light, but it's doing fine where it is, so I'm going to leave well enough. I ain't going to fix what ain't broke. Yeah, I think when I've seen this other places, I've only ever seen it as a hanging plant. And I'm very tempted to do that. I think it would be very pretty. You can extrapolate from that. But, as I've said, hanging plants it's going to be a hanging plant. They're kind of a luxury for me in that I don't have I've got lots of ceilings, but there's stuff underneath them. And it seems to appreciate this room, the conditions in this room, which right now is like 72 degrees. And with the grow lights, it's 72 and sunny. So it's nice in here. If it has to go as a hanging plant, then it may need to move into another room, which won't be as delightful temperature-wise. So we'll see. It may go on the edge of something, but if the leaves are going to be like this, it's going to need a larger pot, and it's going to need a big counterweight on the end of it because it'll pull the pot off the shelf. I've already had a couple of those adventures with plants, which is when you're sitting in a different room in the evening and you hear this noise from down the hall and you think, that's the sound of a pot full of pollen falling off the shelf. So at 9:30 at night, anyway, cleaning up pollen and trying to save a Hoya bella. I'm really happy with this. This is doing really well. This has been very fun and very satisfying at this point. So although it might be a little temperamental at the start or slow to get its footing and get underway, so far it's doing very, very well. And I like those leaves. I like the undulate edge. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed for this one. This one came from Lux Leaves LLC on Etsy, and this is my Hoya versteegii. And the next plant celebrating a 1-year anniversary here is my Hoya Pollyanna IM02. Now, Pollyanna is native to New Guinea. It was first collected in 1913 in Western New Guinea, the Papua province along the Lawrence River, but not published until 1922 in Bloemia Tijdschrift voor de Systematiek en Geografie der Planten, a journal of plant taxonomy and plant geography, by Michaela Roda and Nathaniel Simonson. And it is named after its collector, August Adrian Pula, and was collected by IM, which is Imran La of Indonesia. And it's just, let's see if I can get this in here. It's just a cute little leafed Hoya. And I put some close-ups on the side here. It has done pretty well. It started off as one vine, if I remember correctly, and I'm pretty sure I have a picture of this when it arrived, so I'll put that over here too. And it has sent out 2 new vines, and they are doing okay. It has not been a rampant grower. It starts down here and it comes up and just goes around, and it's starting to race up that support. So, but the leaves are very, very pretty. They're a dark green. They seem to be slightly pubescent on the top, more so on the bottom. And they are a dark green, so I have it growing in slightly lower light. It actually grows over here on the desk. So it gets some fallout from these 2 grow lights. Nothing that's a northeast facing window, so it doesn't get anything through there. But it seems to be doing okay. There's some other small leaf varieties growing over here as well. So it's done okay. I'm happy with it. The leaves seem to have a raised central rib and raised veins and are a kind of little chunky lancelet shape. So this has done okay. I'm happy with this. Of course, I wish it had grown more, but it took it. It hasn't. Oh, yes, it has. There's a root on the bottom coming out, so it has followed the wick down to the reservoir, so that's good. It'll probably start taking off like crazy. Oh, it has. Yeah, so I have high expectations, great expectations to take a literary bent for this one. It's cute. It's doing well. It's done fairly well for 1 year. So yeah, we're gonna roll with this one. This one came from Plant Haven, Toronto on their website, and this is Hoya Pollyanna IM02. This next one is Dischidia parasita. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because we just saw it last week when we were looking at long, skinny ones, and that didn't quite come out the way I had hoped. But it's done really well in its year. I'm going to drop in a picture of what it looked like when it arrived. It lives on the front of my desk, facing my southeast-facing window, so in the wintertime it gets a little bit of early morning sun, and it gets fallout from the rest of the plant shelves throughout the course of the day. The leaves are flexible, they are pretty, they are interesting, and this is a neat addition to my Dischidia collection because none of my other Dischidia look quite like this one. So we are looking forward to watching this one grow. As I said, we've already talked about it, but to remind you, it was first described, it's native to the Philippines and was first described in 1837 by Manuel Maria Blanco Ramos and published in 2019 in Gardens Bulletin by Mohammed Hefte Siarshad, Esperanza Maribel Guayo Agu, and Michaela Rhoda. It has done well. I originally bought it as a Dischidia species, Affinica parasitica, but there is no Dischidia parasitica. So I think this is just Dischidia parasita, and happy to have it in the collection. This one came from TQ Hoyas on Etsy, and this is Dischidia parasita. And the next 1-year anniversary is with my Hoya piestolepis. Now, piestolepis is native to New Guinea and it was first collected in 1909 and not published until 1913 in the Botanische Jahrbucher für Systematik, Pflanzengeschichte und Pflanzengeographie by our friend Friedrich Richard Rudolf Schlechter. And this is my second try with piestolepis. The first one just... it wasn't happy. So it tried, I think. Okay. It tried, I think, but it just didn't make it. You know, it happens sometimes. This one came in a very chunky, barky mix, so I didn't mess with it. I just moved it to more of my basic organic mix in a self-watering pot. It has not shown any roots coming out or down the wick yet, but this is new growth. So it took me a while to find the right spot for this one, I think. The leaves are medium green, so I don't have it under terribly bright light. They have a very interesting kind of like little divots in the surface of the leaf on the established leaves. The new ones don't show that yet. The new ones kind of show, you know, just some nice veinage. This is supposed to have beautiful blossoms. I believe this one is the one that's sold as Purple Star. So I'm excited about that. I'm just excited it's growing. It is a thin-leafed Hoya. It is pubescent on the bottom, although, you know, I think that's the underside, and I don't think much will show up yet. But it's growing. It lives next to my Hoya versteegii over here in the fallout from a grow shelf. So it has very gentle light that reaches it. I don't think it gets anything coming in through that window. There's too many other things in the way. And it's growing. That's all I can say for it right now, but no complaints. I would get, if you're interested in trying piestolepis, I would recommend getting a rooted plant. The first one I think I had was a cutting, and it just didn't go well. So it might be a little finicky. Of course, you know, we're commemorating its anniversary in December, so maybe it traveled in a bad time of year for this. I have a note from Doug Chamberlain's website, Vermont Hoya, which says, Schlechter discovered Hoya piestolepis on May 8th, 1909. He discovered it in trees in the woods on Goma Gigi in the Wairia Valley at an altitude of 450 meters above sea level. And it had a few branches and was very high climbing. Piesto, in the name, may refer to the flower parts, the pisto, and lepis means scale. And Schlechter's description says the scales of the corona outspread, sides very compressed. Okay, I'm not entirely sure how that all, okay. I'm not on the naming committee, so yeah. This one's doing well. I'm happy about it. There's new growth on the end of that vine, so we're going to see what happens. This one is going to go up because I just don't have time for and room for horizontal motion. Vertical motion we can deal with. Horizontal motion is an issue, if you could see. Anyway, this one came from Plant Haven, Toronto, and this is my Hoya piestolepis. And next up here for a year is another woohoo plant, and this is my Dischidia nummularia. Now, Dischidia nummularia is native to Queensland in Australia, to Bangladesh, Bhutan, Brunei, Cambodia, South Central and Southeast China and Highland Island, to the Andaman Islands and Assam in India, to the Bismarck Archipelago, Kalimantan, the Lesser Sunda Islands, Maluku, Papua, Sulawesi, and Sumatra in Indonesia, to Laos, to Malaysia, which includes Malaya, Sabah, and Sarawak, to Myanmar, Papua New Guinea, the Philippines, Singapore, the Solomon Islands, Thailand, and Vietnam. And it was first published in 1810 in Prodromus Florae Novae Hollandiae et Insulae van Diemen by Robert Brown. Now, I'm going to put a picture of what this looked like when it first arrived and compare that to this gorgeous little beast. This has just grown a treat for me. That's from somebody else's little thief. It has just grown a treat. No issues, no problems, no difficulties. I settled it in pond and self-watering, and within a couple weeks, it was growing up a storm. I had it on this shelf back here, so it was getting really good light. But in a very short time, it simply could not work on that shelf anymore. So I moved it here to the side of my desk, facing those two grow shelves over there and there. And it seems to be doing well. It's doing really well. I have no complaints about this. This is up for me. This is up there with Dischidia rucifolia and Dischidia ovata in the way it grows. And even my Dischidia hirsuta is starting to take off. But this little puppy, man, this is, I don't think it stuck out of the pot when it arrived. I don't remember what the photos looked like, but that's 1 year's growth. It is not difficult. It is not fussy. It's just surprised me how well it's doing, and I really, really like this plant. This is sometimes referred to as string of nickels, but don't do that because there are a couple other plants that are also known as string of nickels, and they're not related to each. I think one of them is a senecio, and it's not related to this at all, which is why we don't use common names, because they don't tell us anything. But this is just gorgeous. I mean, if you want something cute and fun that just grows for you, find this a nice little shelf with some decent light, keep it watered, and you'll get this. This is a year. So I'm very, very happy with this one. Can't recommend this one enough. I have it on the edge of the desk so it all hangs over. I'm going to need to add a weight to the back of it in not too great a time, but yeah, That's just cool. I also brought it out on the desk so I can see it a lot because it's just doing so well. It has branched several times on each vine. It's put out lots of new vines. It just happily grows. Can't say enough good things about this one. If you're interested in trying Dischidia, rucifolia, ovata, nummularia, definitely, absolutely for sure. This is very cool. This one came from Sunshine State Foliage on Etsy, and this is Dischidia nummularia. Now, at the same time I was looking at Dischidia nummularia and doing some research on it, I found a mutant variety. And this is Dischidia nummularia Dragon Jade. And I usually don't go for what I would call novelty plants, but this one was just really weird. And I thought I'd give it a try. Now, the company that sells this, or let's say the place from which I bought this, requires you to buy 2 plants. So I did. I bought 2, and they were small cuttings. I have a picture of what they looked like when they arrived. So I potted them together, side by each, as we say here in Rhode Island, actually up in one socket. But they came in this really weird, like foam stuff that has the appearance of chocolate cake without the frosting. And I was not going to successfully separate those 2 plants from whatever that was. So I settled them in a pot surrounded by an organic mix. And they have just started, I don't think you'll be able to see down there, just started to come out. Probably not getting enough light on it. Whoop, that's what I didn't want to have happen. To send roots out the bottom. So they have found the wick, probably will find the reservoir shortly. But they have grown. I would say that that's all new growth. And I would say that this is all new growth. The pictures I have seen of them, they are trailing, which is what these are going to do, because I wouldn't even know how to begin to trellis that. This did not necessarily appear in the wild. It just is a mutation that occurred on someone's Dischidia nummularia, and they found out that the mutation carried true. So this is just kind of neat. There's some new growth at the end of that, and there's new growth on the end of that one as well. And I thought I saw a branch, or what could be a branch. Anyway, this has been fun. This is another kind of Dischidia. It's funky, it's weird, and I'm okay with that. And it's just been growing for me. So yeah, it lives currently on the bottom shelf of this setup. So it's approximately a foot, 1.5 feet beneath the grow lights, and a foot should be 30 centimeters. Yeah, 1.5 feet is about 40. So 30 to 40 centimeters, 1.5 feet below the grow lights. It does not look washed out. In fact, the new leaves look a decent green color. So yeah, it was slow. It was pokey. It was pokey to get growing, but in the last year, that's a good inch. That's a good couple inches of growth. So yeah, I think once it got settled in and found a reliable source of water, like I'm reliable about anything, but once it found out that it had moisture and it had warmth and it had light, it decided that it could give it a go here. So yeah, if you're looking for something really weird, something different, yeah, this might just do it. I wouldn't suggest it for new Dischidia people. Make it your second Dischidia if you really want to get this, but get that learning curve out of the way. But this has been fun. This has been cool. This is from the Green Escape on Etsy, and this is Dischidia nummularia, Dragon Jade. Next here for a year is Hoya versteegii. Now, versteegii is native to the East Himalayas, to Laos and to Vietnam. It was first published in 1883 in the Flora of British India by Joseph Dalton Hooker, and I'll put his handsome face over here on the side. And the remarks on the herbarium sheet say Reg Himal, so it's probably where he found it in the Himalayan regions. This one is very cool. Tiny little leaves. Let's see if that'll help. And it has grown really well. I'll put a picture of what it looked like when it arrived. And it has just branched and grown. It's doing really well. Where are you going? Oh, goodness. Yeah, when I said it had branched and done well, I didn't realize it had done this well. We don't want you going down there. Come up here. There we go. Yeah, that branch had taken off and was going on a little adventure someplace I didn't want it to. So we're going to encourage it to come up here. Sorry, but I need to do this stuff when I see it because with all the kids in here, I don't always get to them right away. So this is done really well. Long lanceolate leaves, and long is a relative term here. They are measuring, we are looking at just about 1/2 inch, which is about 1 1/4, 1 3/8 centimeters. It has just grown well for me. There have been no issues. The only thing, it does need a bit of structure in its life. So it gets it here. It has sent out new vines. So this vine branched, this one branched. And it's just doing really, really well. If you're interested in trying out a little leafed Hoya, this would be a good call. It is somewhat reminiscent of Hoya engleriana. There is a resemblance between the two. That's as far as I can explain that. They are at present separate species, and I think people would have been all over that because they're too close. They resemble each other too much for someone not to have chucked into it. But this is done really well. It's a cute little narrow-leafed. The optimistic trellis is running into the lighting, but nice little narrow leaves. Slightly recessed central ribs, some slightly raised side veins. There is new growth on the end of every single vine. So yeah, it lives over here in my small leafed Hoya collection. Who's sitting there now? Who took your spot when you were away? Oh, campanulata. Okay. So it usually lives over there, which means it gets some fallout, but it's not under strong light. The leaves are, I would describe them as a medium green. I wouldn't put this under really bright lights. I don't think that's what it evolved to take advantage of. Nothing coming out of the pot yet, but it's growing up a treat, so I would imagine it's at least found the wick, or it's the neighborhood of the wick. And yeah, if you want to try a little leafed Hoya, this is fine. This is easy. This came from TQ Hoyas on Etsy, And this is Hoya versteegii. Next up, we have Hoya sanguensis. Now, sanguensis is native to central Kalimantan on the island of Borneo in Indonesia. It was first collected in 2021 in Sangu, Buntak, central Kalimantan. So sanguensis. Ensis means from the place of or from. It was first published in 2022 in Gardens Bulletin by Sri Rahayu and Michaela Rhoda. And I got it because those leaves had a very nice little bit of splash on them. And I thought that was kind of pretty. It has since done very well. When it arrived, it was in a very organic mix. It's either organic or it isn't. There aren't no degrees of organicness. Organicity. So rather than trying to fight and risking increased root damage, I just potted it over into my standard organic mix and a self-watering pot. The roots have found the bottom of the pot, which means they found the wick, which explains all of this new growth that I've had in the last, okay, I'm going to have to work on this one a little bit too, because he's going off on another little adventure. Come back. Okay, we'll talk later. But it has put out just a bunch of new growth. The blooms are, of course, supposed to be beautiful. I haven't seen them yet. That's not a complaint. That's just a hint. So yeah, the established, the older leaves, the OG leaves, as the young people say, are firm. Medium firm. There is some flexibility to them. They have a slightly recessed central rib. The back of the leaves looks like that. These leaves have that beautiful amount of splashing on them. But the leaves since then have not developed the splashing. That may come with time. I don't know, but it's growing. I mean, it's getting rather lush for just a year. There's new growth on the end of both of the vines. So yeah, it's kind of neat. I'm looking forward to, I think this will just be a nice, pretty plant. And if it has staggering blooms that I sort of remember, then that would be, how about if you go in there? That'll be less of a weird angle, don't you think? I think so. Okay. Gentle, gentle, gentle. Don't argue with Daddy. Okay. I think it'll be a nice plant. It's heading toward the top of that optimistic trellis. So very cool. I'm excited about this one. Right now, this one lives on the side of my desk over here, facing one set of grow shelves and facing a small set of grow shelves, and it's aimed toward my Sansi clip-on lights, which are over here. Yeah, I think that may be enough light for it. These leaves look a little pale right now. The others are medium. I had it in a brighter setup for a while, but the leaves just started getting too washed out. So yeah, I think that's a good spot for it. It's odd because this side of the desk gets some of the lowest light in the room, but some of my other plants are doing other Hoyas are doing really well there. So yeah, you know, what a Hoya is going to do well in is often the result of experimentation. You know, if you have it in one location, the leaves are looking really washed out and really pale, then move it to another location with less light. If the leaves seem to be naturally dark, then just put it in somewhat lower light to begin with. Yeah, because some of my plants, when they were really, really little, did fine underneath really bright lights, but that's because they weren't too close to the lights. So yeah, this is done. I'm just happy with this. This is done quite well. This one came from Age of Foliage RS on Etsy, and this is Hoya sanguensis. And this week's question for the comments. First of all, thank you to the people who took the time to tell their stories about last week's question, about which plant is your nemesis. We shared a lot of them in common. There are some that were expected. People who have had bad experiences with plants, some that, that just happens. But this week's question is related to that. So for this week, what is your just say no plant? Doesn't have to be a Hoya, but for me it would be a Hoya, and my just say no plant is Hoya Carey. I know some of you love it, can't stand it. Never liked it, never wanted it. Da-da-da. And it might grow on me if I ever gave it a chance, but I ain't gonna. Because I used to say that the Hoya carnosa compacta was my, I can't stand that plant. It's a pest magnet, and it's just not been my experience. I got one because everybody said it was, and it wasn't. So yeah, but my just say no plant is Hoya Carey. Alocasias, begonias, philodendrons. But with Hoya, it's Carey. The others, are just say no. Peperomia, not doing that again. It was fun. We had a nice relationship, Peperomia and me, and then, now we don't. So yeah, so in the comments below, tell us, what is your just say no plant? And as always, I want to thank you for choosing to spend a little bit of your time with me this week's end, and thank you for helping me get to 4,000 subscribers. Please remember to click the thumbs up like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell. They all help support and promote my channel. And if you go down next to the thanks button, there's also a little thing that says hype. And if you tap on that, you can help hype this video, which will recommend it and get it shown to other people who might also enjoy it. A lot of the products that you've seen me use are available through my Amazon storefront, and there's a QR code over here that you can scan to visit the storefront. I receive a small commission on the sales of products, and it helps support the channel, but it doesn't increase your price whatsoever. If you're in the market for grow lights, I have a relationship with Sansi, and if you scan this QR code, it will take you to their website. And if you use my discount code, PlantedInRI, you'll receive 30% off the prices you find there. I've been really happy with my Sansi grow lights, and so I can give them a thumbs up. If you'd like to support the channel, here is another QR code that will take you to my Buy Me a Coffee page, and there's a link to that in the description. Or down here, there's a thanks button right next to where you're going to find the hype button, and you can send me a super thanks. I'm going to put links to a couple more videos over here on the sides, and please enjoy the rest of your week's end.